Hello. Let's talk about the Department of Education. Let's clear up some of the misinformation that's trending about this governmental agency and dive into the process of it being dismantled. And I'm giving you this information as someone who has been heavily involved in education, from teaching on early childhood education to being a professor at universities. I myself have completed 3 degrees. I have student loans. I know information about student funding. I've worked on an admin level in several different offices, so I'm going to give you the 411. And we're going to start off with the history of the Department of Education. So, with the history of the Department of Education, it was founded by President Jimmy Carter in 1979. And when it was founded in 1979, it had a total of a $14 billion budget. Today, that budget is $268 billion for federal spending that goes towards the Department of Education. Its four main goals is to establish policies on a federal financial aid for education, distributing as well as monitoring those funds, collecting data on American schools and disseminating research, focusing national attention on key issues in education, and making recommendations for education reform, and then prohibiting discrimination and ensuring equal access to education. Those are the four main goals. Currently, of that $268 billion, $160.7 billion, that's 59%, goes towards the Office of Federal Student Aid. Now, when you think of federal student aid, I know that you fill out FAFSA and you get back grants, loans, all scholarships, different type of options. When we're talking about federal student aid, we're talking about student loans. So 59% of its budget goes to fund student loans to go out to students. 30.5% of the budget goes towards grants. So that's the Pell Grant, different grants that you don't have to pay back. 7.6% of its budget, that's 20.7, goes towards special education, and we have 2.9% goes towards other, that's $8 billion. Now, we're going to talk about student loans in a second because we currently have a student loan crisis happening in the world. Well, not in the world, just in the US, because the US system is very exploitative. But first, I want to talk about the misinformation that the Department of Education is involved in public schools. The Department of Education is not involved in public schools in such a large way. The numbers I just gave you, more than 50% of its budget goes towards giving out exploitative student loans. Public schools are funded by tax dollars, actually. And that's because the government decided to create zoning laws. And if you look up those zoning laws, they are very inequitable and exploitative because we have redlining, different things like that. That's why you can be in, for example, I live in DFW. You can be in a large metroplex and you can go from Dallas ISD to Highland Park ISD, and the schools look drastically different. The services that the students get are drastically different. It's because of the zoning. Your tax dollars go towards public schools, and they make sure of that. That is why some public schools are more funded than others. Back to the real issue with the Department of Education, it's the fact that college is a scam. College is a scam because it is a system set up to exploit you. They painted the picture of we provide bright futures due to degrees, but really they want to make as much money off of you as possible. That's from your tuition to housing, to the food that you eat, to the air that you breathe on that campus. They are making money off of you every step of the way. Your advisors are salespeople. Every person that you meet on that campus makes more money and profits off of you the longer that you stay there, which is why they made everyone, back when I was going through high school, they made all of us apply to college. Because if you send every one of the Americans to college, the American dollars makes money off of you. So, college is a scam. It's an exploitative system. Thus, the entrance of student loans. We are currently in a student loan crisis because between the years of 2000 and 2020, we have doubled the amount of student loans from 21 million to 45 million. And we have quadrupled the total amount from 387 billion to 1.8 trillion. And it's growing faster and faster than any other household debt. Currently, Americans owe $1.75 trillion in federal and private student loans. And in addition to that, we are in a crisis because a significant portion of indebted college graduates and non-graduate borrowers do not have the sufficient amount of income to pay back their debts. That means you work hard, you get a degree, you get all these loans, and then you don't get a job to help you pay back that debt, which means that the growing weight of student loan debt is rising, and we are currently at 353.8% that it's rising by. Despite all federal relief measures, student debt has increased by 8.28% in 2020, with 11.8% of these loans in delinquent status. That means that people cannot pay back these loans. And it's a really great article that I'll share here by Education Data Initiative, The Student Loan Debt Crisis by Melanie Hansen. It breaks this down because over 43 million Americans are dealing with student loan debt. That's 43 million people. And on top of this, there has been a decline in degree value. That means that the degree that you get today is no longer worth what it was worth 10 years ago, which is why people aren't making the money to pay back the loans. So you're probably asking, Ricky, what does this mean? This means that we all need to sit down and think about the true role of the Department of Education before we jump on board of these media framing platforms that are skewed to have you think in a certain way, and really think about maybe dismantling the Department of Education and rebuilding it so it is truly equitable and not exploitative might be the best practice. Do I know what's happening now? No. But sending out misinformation about the Department of Education is hurtful and harmful to all of Americans listening in. The Department of Education has nothing to do, mainly majority of their funding has nothing to do with public schools, has nothing to do with everything, but has everything that you see in media, but has everything to do with student loans. Stay tuned for more content and more information about everything that's happening, and let me know if you read that article.